I was looking up The Harder They Fall on Google, and what popped up was a Deadline review, and the title says The Harder They Fall Review, a vicious and unapologetic action western. They're not wrong. Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts. This morning I watched The Harder They Fall, and I'll have to say this is a pretty damn good western film, and overall just a pretty damn good film in general. I remember watching the trailer a few months ago and thought, it's a pretty cool trailer, I'm gonna check out this film, and I'm so glad I did because wow, what a ride. This film has a stacked cast, holy crap. Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, Delroy Lindo, Lakeith Stanfield, RJ Kyler, Danielle Deadwyler, the list goes on and on, holy crap. If you've seen any of the marketing for The Harder They Fall, you know that this film is a revenge story. Now overall, revenge films can be good or bad depending on how they approach the story and what they also put within the story to make it more than just a revenge plot. That's a big portion of the story here, of course it is, but there has to be more within the story than just that. If that's all your movie is, to me it's boring and bland. I feel like this movie has enough added stuff, enough added moments, and some great character moments as well with their interactions and just how they introduce some of these characters and the big personalities a lot of these characters have. It really enhanced the revenge story into something more, which is very important because I feel this film could have fell apart in a few different spots in the film in terms of where the story was, because at certain points the story could fall apart here, but they find a way to make it interesting. Okay, we'll go this direction. Okay, because I think we're going this way. Not good, but we go over here. So that's really good. But I just feel like overall this film works because of the way they tell the story here, because this could be a very different version of the same story being told. And if they would have went that direction, this would not have been a good ride. This would not have been an interesting journey. But the way they take the story and the way they have certain characters interacting in certain moments that surprised me, it definitely helped and worked for this film. Let's talk about some of the cast in this film, specifically Jonathan Majors as Nat Love, our lead in this film. I really enjoyed his performance. I'm glad he's getting a lot more roles. I mean, he was in Lovecraft Country, a great show there. Of course, he's cast as Kang the Conqueror within the MCU. He's done a couple other things, but I'm glad that he's getting more notice here. Idris Elba, we all love Idris Elba for the most part as Rufus Buck, and I really enjoyed his portrayal of this villain. Like, it was so good. And at times, like I mentioned in that intro with the Deadline article, Unapologetic, they're not lying. There are some things that he does and his gang does in this film, of course, the villains, that I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, it made me squeam because I'm like, that's brutal. But I understand it because it's unapologetic and they don't hold back. Zazie Beetz as Stagecoach Mary, great performance as well. I really like seeing her. I haven't seen enough of her work, but what I have seen of her is really, really good. And once again, she pulled out a great performance here. I'm not going to lie to you. Pretty much everybody in this film did a great job with what they were given. There's some characters that could have been seen more, but the way the story progresses, it makes sense why certain characters are not seen as much or they don't have as much to do, because you have to find a certain balance with this revenge plot plus all the other stuff they're kind of building up around that story. So you don't want to give certain characters too much time where it takes away from the actual main point that we're supposed to be focusing on. So I understand that, but I felt like they did a pretty good job balancing all of that, and to me, it worked. Something people will be asking about is the gunfights in this. Pretty damn good. I've seen better, but I will say that the gunfights in here are pretty intense, and there's actually a fist fight in this film. I won't say between who, but the fist fight was pretty cool, and the intercutting between the fist fight and other gunfights going on in a certain location towards the end in the third act, if you will. Very well put together. It's very, very good, and I was like, this is what I'm missing, because westerns are not really made nowadays, and if they are, they're more on the lower budget side. You don't hear about them, so I'm really glad that Netflix took the chance, went and got this film made. Now it's out. It had a limited theatrical run before, of course, release on Netflix, but they took a chance, went with it, and the stacked cast just elevates it, and just everything works. I mean, I was just really happy with this film. I do have one critique about this film, and it's something I noticed a couple times. After I finished the film, though, I understood why it was the way it was, but ultimately, I think it still is a critique. The runtime. It is a little long, but for me, I think it overall works for the most part, but I can understand why some people won't like it. But I consider it a critique because I was feeling it sometimes, where certain scenes are playing out, and those scenes need to be in the film, but maybe it could have been reworked to kind of shorten it a little bit. But I'm overall happy with what they did in terms of showing you everything that needs to be shown, because I don't feel there was a scene in here that didn't need to be in there, but they could have reworked some scenes to make them a little bit shorter. But I can understand if people go into this film and they feel the runtime and they say that that's a problem for them in a critique because they feel like it's too long and they could have shortened it. I won't argue with that point, but I will say is after I finished the film, I understood why those things were in the film and certain moments were in there, but they could have found a way to make it shorter or maybe to make it go by quicker. But ultimately, I'm still happy with this film. This, like I said, is a great ride. Netflix is known mainly for their series, movies, not so much. Of course, a lot of the films they acquire after the fact. A lot of the times as well, it's films that they make specifically for Netflix. And I feel like with this situation, they did a great job with deciding and rolling with this and putting it out there, because it definitely is one of the better Netflix films, and I'm glad that I watched it. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. Is this film a 10 out of 10? No. But I will say, it is definitely one of the better Western films that I've seen of all time. And for me, I want to watch it again just to see if I missed anything in particular. I probably missed a couple of things, but I was really happy with this. And yeah, it was a great time, and I really wanted to talk about it, so here I am talking about it. So have you guys seen The Harder They Fall? If you haven't yet, are you excited to see it? Are you going to see it? Whatever thoughts you have, guys, let me know in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.